Patrick Netherton Show, 11:30 The Tiger. He's Rogers, I'm Patrick, and the Netherton Show Coaches Caravan rolls on, except we're moving a little bit out of the state. You know, our goal with the Coaches Caravan is to try to get all 11 Division I football coaches in the state of Louisiana on the show, and we're off to a good start. I think we're at 6 or 7 now, and should have them all done before August. But you know what? A guy that Rogers and I have known for a while now, who was the first guy to ever send a helmet to the Tim Brando show back when he was the head coach at Wisconsin-Whitewater, where, by the way, he won more national championships than he had losses. Made his way from Whitewater to Buffalo, has done a tremendous job at Buffalo, and is now the new head coach of the Kansas Jayhawks. Got a chance to see him when I was up on my trip to Kansas City. Got a tour of the facilities, got a chat with him a bit. He is Lance Leipold, the new Jayhawk head man. Lance, how the heck are you, brother?
I'm doing well, Patrick. Good to hear your voice again. It was great to see you. And, you're making me think there. I don't know if it'll make my tombstone, but definitely needs to be in my obituary someday that I was the first one to send that helmet.
Well, Brando, I sent him the thing when I had the tweet that you were coming on, and he quote tweeted and said, "First guy that ever sent in a helmet." You started a whole thing, man. That became a deal.
Well, it was anything, and that's kind of what we want to do here. We want to get something started again that picks up momentum. And maybe that'll be some of the karma that we need. You know,
it's interesting, Lance, because you've kind of taken the road less traveled in your career at this point. You and I have talked about it. When you were at Whitewater, you were looking at various jobs. The Buffalo job comes open, and I'm sure there were people that said, "Hey, man, don't go take Buffalo." Right? You can't win there. It's not a good job, whatever. And I'm sure you've heard the same stuff when you left Buffalo to come to Kansas. Tell me a little bit about maybe belief and faith in yourself and your coaches and your ability to turn programs like that around, because you did it at Whitewater, you did it at Buffalo, and I know you're dead set on doing it at Kansas.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things when people talk about fits, and like you said, maybe my path is a little bit more on the unconventional side. I kind of look at the way I grew up and where I grew up in Wisconsin and different things, and I both of those jobs and opportunities, I guess, are the challenge that motivate me to do the things that we're taking on. And I guess what I mean by that, I kind of follow up with your statement is, yeah, during the process that the job was open, I had people tell me is like, yeah, just hang in there. You can get a better job. 6 months from now you'll get. And I was like, no, this one fits. And the things that when I say it fits is, the staff of who we are, where the school's located. I spent 13 years in the state of Nebraska, right close by, 3 hours away. This, I say middle part of the country living is something. My wife's from Omaha. It was a good fit that way. I kind of looked at, where the place has been. But when I went back to parts of my career that were very fulfilling, Patrick, it was when Barry Alvarez gave me a chance to be a graduate assistant and be part of a team that had just come off a 1-10 season, was 5-6, 5-6, and then won 10 games and won the Big Ten and won the Rose Bowl. Then I had my real first full-time job as an assistant at Nebraska Omaha Division II school. We were 1-10, 3-8, 10-2, and I really found those type of moments in coaching and turning programs around to be the most fulfilling, even as much as winning national championships, but to keep doing it, the part of that in coaching and doing those things were the ones that motivated me the most. So I looked at this as a great opportunity, a great opportunity with the timing that we could get the time that we needed, a new athletic director, all those things kind of stacked up, and here we are.
It's interesting because you and I talked when I was up there about sort of really stability more than anything else, right? Mm-hmm. You mentioned new athletic director. Jeff Long had come under fire, all the stuff that happened with Les Miles. Les Miles himself, obviously there was a lot of stuff that went on while he was there and whatnot. And so you kind of take over. I've got to imagine just trying to bring some equilibrium and some stability to the program has to be job one, right? Just for people to feel like they have a solid footing underneath them.
Absolutely. And make it as quick as I can is, our offensive coordinator, Andy Kolnicki's been with me now. This is season number 9 straight. Quarterback coach Jim Zabrowski was my offensive coordinator at Wisconsin-Whitewater before Andy was. Then he went with Jerry Kill. He's been back. I think we're on our 8th year together. Chris Simpson, our linebackers coach, it's our 10th year working together. Brian Borland, our defensive coordinator, 15 years working together. So when you look at it, Scott Brooks, our offensive line coach, I worked with him in Omaha. We're about year 6 together. So, again, continuity of knowing these guys, their character, their families, about what their career goals are as far as trying to keep people in place. Because, just like you said, we had 2 mid-year quarterbacks enrolled here in late January. The quarterback coach coordinator left 3 days after they arrived. They hired a coordinator, quarterback coach, and then, of course, we know the rest. That's happened through the resignation of Coach Miles. There was an interim coach. Coach DeBoard, who was the coordinator, became a roaming coordinator. They brought a guy off the field to coach the kids for the spring. And then, of course, here we are, and I bring a new quarterback coach in. 4 quarterback coach in 6 months. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that's unheard of. And it's unfortunate. And we have to bring this university, this football program, and most importantly, this locker room, some stability as we build a program.
Talking to Lance Leipold, the new coach of the Kansas Jayhawks. So look, coaches are an impatient lot, right? Everyone wants to win now. You're not cool with no one likes moral victories, that kind of thing. But do you feel like you have to practice, telling people to just relax, give it a couple of years? Or is this one of those things where you say, hey, maybe we can jump up and start surprising some people quicker than you think?
Our philosophy, Patrick's always been, is that we're going to focus on the moment and get a little bit better today than we were yesterday. And you start stacking, those type of days on top of each other, you're going to see the improvement. And now, we're not the ones totally in charge of when that improvement shows on the scoreboard, but we're going to do everything we can to get these guys ready to be in position to win football games this fall. I think the fan base here and the people I've been able to travel and meet along, they've been through a tough decade of multiple changes and non-success. And I think, they're very realistic of where we are, but where we want to be is more important, and they're very supportive. And we're not going to pin ourselves into a corner of a timeline. And we know that if coaches are impatient, fan bases can be as well, because we live in an instant society, and we want to see results. And I think we have some things in place with a very young roster. As we continue to mature, if we can maintain it, stay healthy, we're gonna have a chance to be successful sooner than later.
Speaking of your roster, Coach, you and I were talking. We were up there, and I said I haven't even seen these guys. I haven't seen a quarterback throw a ball yet. I haven't seen anybody. You're finally getting practice underway now. I've got to imagine that's a good feeling to finally be able to see these guys in action and get some, I know you've watched all the tape in the world, but to see and put eyes on these guys and be able to start coaching them up, I know that has to be a huge relief for you.
Yeah, it is. And it's exciting because, again, as our strength coach says, they don't come to school to lift weights. They come to play football. And you have a chance for them to do what they love to do and what they're going to do, and for us to evaluate that. Yes, as we watch film, but I still, in these situations, Patrick, I've tried to give everyone so-called a clean slate, and because I don't know what they were told and how what was being coached at that moment. It doesn't mean it was wrong. I just want to see it under what we're asking them to do and see it live. And I think with that is, you give a guy maybe a fresh start. You continue to build, competition. And, each and every day we're going to come out and work hard. So it avoids complacency. And guys are out there each and every day. And hopefully as we do that, and the way we practice, hopefully we're going to build some depth as we go along.
One of the things I've always lauded you for, Lance, is your ability to sort of change and adapt as your personnel comes through and changes. You were a pass-heavy team. You had your big quarterback a couple of years ago, and you were able to throw it around a little bit more. The last year or two, you've had 2 dynamic backs, and so you've been a little bit more run-heavy. Do you have an idea yet what the focus or the identity of this Kansas team is going to look like, or is that still developing as you evaluate personnel?
Yeah, we're 5 days in, probably still developing. I do like our young receivers and the speed and the length that we have them and the ability of them to, stretch the field and do some things. We're still, really in probably a three-man battle at quarterback and to see who can, lead this football team, make great decisions, get people to rally around them, and also the accuracy that we're going to need from that position. A year ago, turned the ball over too much, too many sacks. Our offensive line has to come together last year through COVID, a lot of mix and match each and every week. We're still figuring some of those things out. I'd probably in, another week or so have a better thought. But like you said, I've always been, and the coaches that have coordinated, with me, we've been on the same page of being multiple enough that we can take what we're best at for that current season and utilize it without, putting square pegs in round holes and things like that, where you're trying to force yourself and you might be a little depleted. So, as we talked today, and I talked with Travis Goff, our new athletic director, about offensive philosophy in the interview process, I thought that was one of our strengths, especially the timing of taking this job and as we continue to mold that offensive side of the ball.
One of the other things that I think is really important is the transfer portal, and now the NCAA granting the one-time transfer without having to sit out. I have not looked at your roster, the makeup of your roster, but I've got to imagine that especially there's probably some guys that wanted to come with you from Buffalo. I know there's probably some guys out there that you've seen and evaluated before, and there's I would imagine a good opportunity for you to be able to sort of plug and place some guys in there that you may not have had the chance to do before that rule was enacted.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's the new landscape of college football, and we have to be, aware and active in that market. I wasn't aware. We lost 3 players since to the portal since I've taken the job. But at the same time, I saw something that listed us as we lost the second most in FBS football. And so with that, though it's a young roster and it's well documented that we've been under scholarship here for a while, we're still working on getting our numbers to where they want to be. We did have 6 players that did come from Buffalo, all underclassmen, that we feel that, as we build our culture and they know how we go about things, it was going to be imperative if anybody that was coming from there, it would not just be a kind of rent a player, so to speak, in a 6-month type atmosphere, that we wanted players that were going to be here and help us in the locker room. And then we were able to add a couple more. So, yes, as we look at our roster and there's some things we've got to continue to evaluate just in our scholarship numbers and balance on both sides of the ball, and some positions are a little bit heavier in areas than we would normally do them. So there's a lot. And then once you get those numbers, then you got to get them in the age groups that you want so that you can kind of have that consistency and not be a team that only is a flash in the pan when they get to be a 4th or 5th year senior late football team.
Lance Leipold, the new head coach of the Kansas Jayhawks, joining us. Look, I came in. I was blown away by your facilities. I've gotten a chance to tour a lot of places at a lot of different facilities, and the creme de la creme have some really good stuff. And I walked in expecting, okay, well, they're going to be lagging behind. But I got to say, your football, field house is really nice. You've got good facilities there. You got an indoor facility, which is great. I know there's some talk about potentially, either redoing or maybe working on the stadium a little bit. But I've got to admit, Lance, I was really impressed with what you have facilities-wise. I don't feel like you're that far behind the 8 ball in recruiting when it comes to, getting those guys in there and showing them the type of facilities that the big recruits are wanting to see.
Yeah, I would agree with you, Patrick. Again, I'll learn on the fly this year, like a lot of us of really being around. I had an off-field role at the University of Nebraska in the early 2000 area, but now that everybody's improved way beyond since those days, kind of see what everyone else has. But we're very functional right now. I know we have some other things that have always kind of been on the table, but much like the head coaching position, it's been somewhat similar in the athletic director's chair. And there's a lot of thoughts about facility improvements and doing things that you want to try to get done. And then when there's a change at the top, it either, at worst, it just pauses or it completely starts over again. And I think, again, those are the things that are coming about that, we're going to be able to gain traction. Once again, the indoor facility is just a couple of years old. Like you said, it's nice. This is, to me, our proximity to Kansas City, to the airport, this city's even better than I had heard it was. Our family loves it. It's an outstanding university. There's a lot here for us to offer young men and families, for a guy to have an outstanding career. I know there's going to be talk about, the conferences and everything, but we're playing an outstanding conference, and that's going to be our plan. And I know it's going to be intact for the next 5 years is the plan there as well. So we can continue to recruit that way. At the same time, build ourselves even to a better brand than even before. Our basketball program has done so much, and we've got to be able to pull our share of the rope. And I look forward to kind of picking Coach Self's brain the best I can to learn how to do it the way he's been doing it and get us in a position to be successful.
Yeah, you kind of stole my next question, and that was about the conference affiliation. Whether you know or not, if there's anything out there, you're not going to tell me, so I'm not going to ask that question. What I do want to know, and it's a funny story. I'm sitting in Lance's office, and one of the big national college football guys sends him a text and said, "Hey, what are you hearing about your conference affiliation?" And I'm like, "Hey, just ignore him for now. We're in here. We're doing real business." So, that was great. But I am curious, though.
Really,
go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, I'm just curious what your role is, if any, in any of this. Do they put you in the, are you on the conference calls? Are you, hey, here's what we're thinking? Is it, don't worry about it, we'll figure it out, and you just go play whoever's on the schedule? I mean, how much do you are involved in the discussions that are happening about where you ultimately end up, if it's somewhere else other than the Big 12?
I am not involved in any discussions, Patrick. I can honestly tell you that. I think there's so much speculation, and I really don't think there's as much as everybody thinks there is at the moment. I think there's a lot of let's wait and see a little bit where things are going, and obviously there's probably research in a lot of areas way above me. It's so unfortunate that, the way everything got, a lot of us got blindsided. Let's face it. But the commissioner was actually on campus and was in our building the day that happened. I had lunch with him, and I don't know honestly if he had gotten the news before he landed, and that's how long it was. But he was here, and we had brought in a guest speaker, and he wanted, and he was here with a few others from his staff. And when that day went down, so very, very, unfortunate for our conference at the moment to kind of go through that. But at this stage of it, it's strictly, the people above me doing what they need to do. And I'm sure as things start to play out in any direction, if it's something I need to be aware of or be a help on, that's when I'll step in.
Well, look, not for nothing, you mentioned you've got a great campus. The academics at Kansas are really good. You mentioned you're not far from, it's a 30-minute, 40-minute drive from Kansas City over there, the drive we made. The basketball program, you guys are going to be turning it around. You've got a lot to offer. So I get the feeling that Kansas, if the Big 12 should dissolve and, everyone starts going elsewhere, I have a feeling Kansas will be wanted.
Yeah, you sure hope so. There's always the speculation game that everybody's going through. But, again, the consistency of what people are looking for, there's obviously we've got to be better on the football field. There's no doubt. But, again, there's a lot of things that, depending on who it is and where it is, and right here in the Big 12, is for us to, with our being a research university, there's a lot of things on the academic side. We check a lot of boxes. We got a lot of things that we offer, like you said. So we'll see. And, we're looking forward to just getting it kicked off on September 3rd so we can start making steps, as a football program.
Well, I tell you what, I'm incredibly proud of you. I know it's been quite a journey for you, and I'm super excited to see what you do. I can't wait till you have that program turned around. And everyone will know Lance Leipold's name here before too long. So I'm excited to watch that happen. Coach, best of luck to you, brother, and we look forward to catching up with you here before too long.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Appreciate your friendship, and hopefully we can do this again during the fall sometime, okay?
Sounds good. All right.
All right, Rock Chalk. Take care, guys.
All right. Lance Leipold, the head coach of the Kansas Jayhawks.